And so to deny the existence of God is reasonably foolish. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. With that, those that are going to their classes may be dismissed, and if you wanted to join one of the other classes this morning, it's actually cooler upstairs at the moment than it is down here. Just saying. Doesn't always happen that way this time of year, but it may not be by the end of Sunday school hour, right? You know? May get warmer up there with the slight elevation, but Matthew 24. You ever asked the question, how bad can it get? I don't advise it. It can be entertaining at times, I guess, perhaps, but it can always get worse. In the general sense of the world, it is going to, and we're told that. And we're told that so that we have the confidence to navigate through. We can look at it in the midst of it and say, you know what? God told us this was going to happen. He told us that things would go this direction. He knows what he's talking about. And he knows what's next. Matthew 24, if we pick up where we dropped off at the end last week, verse 15, Jesus had given the prophecy of the destruction of the temple. Some sign that the disciples wanted to know signs of the end of the age and what would take place. Verse 15, so when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is on the housetop not go down to take what is in his house, and let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloak. Well, just to kick things off, we'll start verse 17 and just ask a simple question. What's he mean by let the one who is on the housetop? Was he talking to a group of roofers? Yeah, there were living spaces. In plenty of other parts of the world, India's very, very popular. When they build a first story, they're mostly concrete. They have rebar sticking up. And they do the first level, and there's still rebar sticking up. So that if they decide to add another level, well, the rebar's there to connect the floors, and they'll do another level and have more rebar sticking up. They'll have a little ledge around it. And a lot of the buildings, we'd visit in the evening, and they would have stairs, cement stairs that went up along the side of the building. You'd love it. It's beautiful. No, obviously not OSHA approved or any of that sort of thing. No rail on the side. No, nothing. Just a set of concrete steps that went up along the side of the building, up onto the flat roof, and it had a small ledge. You sat up there. That was their patio, I guess, if you wanted to call it that. It's where you'd sit and converse in the evening. And you looked out into the brush and you saw all sorts of wild critters. I felt relatively safe up there compared to being on the ground level with what was about. But so the point is, if you're up there, you see it happening, don't go back into the house. Just come down and run. Don't take the time to gather anything else. The abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, carried out by the Antichrist during the middle part of the tribulation. This begins what you see unfold in Scripture is the unrestrained persecution of Jewish people. Some assume that Daniel's prophecy of the abomination of desolation took place during the time of the Maccabees, as described in the writing of the Maccabees regarding Antiochus Epiphanes, when he sacrificed a hog on the altar, desecrating it. It's quite clear here that Jesus says that prophecy its ultimate fulfillment has not taken place yet. So when it does, here's what you do. Spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. You see that take place, the holy place. Some translations are more specific and refer to temple area. How did this take place if there is currently no holy place or temple area? Simple question. The answer is actually simple. There will be another temple constructed. There isn't one now. There will be. There's no current specific Jewish temple that would fit this, but you've heard plenty of chatter of the red heifers, preparation for building the third temple, and the ultimate desire, obviously, to build it on the Dome of the Rock, and all that's going on with that. But he says, when you see this, when you see the abomination of desolation, flee. Don't stop. Don't go gather any other possessions. Simply get out. The one who was in the field not turned back to take his cloak. You're out working. Take the outer coat off because you're hot, and you throw it off in the bushes on the side. Don't grab it. Just run. And alas, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on Sabbath. You're not going to have any possessions. You're not going to have anything with you that you need. Verse 21. How bad can things get? They will get worse. There will be great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now, no, and never will be. We can complain about things. Complain about who's in office and what they're doing and who's running for office. We can complain about all sorts of troublesome things like that. There have been horrendous times of evil over the course of human history. Many different eras have demonstrated the despicable nature of the human being. The depravity of man, how truly fallen he is. Times that, as I sought to describe, are far worse than what we have now. It will be worse than it's ever been. we have a difficult time trying to put into perspective and fathom the time of Noah. It's described as a time where everyone did whatever he wanted to do. Everyone did whatever he wanted to do. It was so bad that God wiped man off the face of the earth with the exception of 8. I don't know the exact population at that point. Some have tried to figure that out, calculating multiple generations, and the difficulty with that is how many times do we have the repetition of and other sons and daughters. They list some of them in the genealogy, not all of them, and so we don't know the full extent of that, but you consider the number of people and the reality that only 8 believed and got on the ark. All the rest died in the judgment of the flood. There's more than 8 of us here this morning. Put that into perspective of how bad the world had to have been. The thought and imagination of his heart was only evil continually, God said. Well, guess what? It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now, no, and never will be. So bad, verse 22 says, and if those days had not been cut short, no human being would have been saved. It's going to take a whole lot more than the hairspray of the 80s to destroy the world to that extent. A whole lot. Now, prophecy and end times is a very interesting thing. There are some suggest that Jesus' signs, the signs that he gives here, are either so general that they do not particularly